going to show you today how I start onions. This flat on the left has already been planted. Both flats are filled with an organic soil mix and some fertilizer. And I'm going to plant two different onion varieties in this flat here. So I'm going to draw a line right down the middle that makes it easier for me then to delineate as the onions come up where one variety ends and the other one begins. So then it's time to seed the flat, and I just basically sprinkle the seeds right on the surface of the soil, and the seeds will be going in fairly densely, not too dense, but there's going to be, relatively speaking, a pretty crowded flat of onions. They do well growing closely together. And then when it gets time to plant them out, you just separate each little seedling out. So as you can see, I just kind of sprinkle it all over the surface of the soil until I've got it all covered. And then, of course, I have a little help from my supervisor here, making sure that I do things the right way. Though I need my independence too, so when the supervisor gets too involved, I have to ask him to watch from a distance. And then, of course, we'll put a tag in to make sure that I remember that this was a yellow of Parma that went in here. And then I'll move on to the next variety, which of course just is a repetition of the process on the other side of the flat. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in once I have all the seeds down with just a thin layer of the soil mix right on top of the seeds. So it's not going to be much soil covering the seeds, just a very thin layer over the whole flat. And I'll be covering up this little indent in the middle as well, because it's not really needed. It'll be clear enough that no seeds are sprouting there. So once everything's covered and done, it'll be all ready to be watered in. So then I'm coming in to water, and by the way, this is a great tool for watering in seeds. It delivers a very nice and gentle spray of water, and yet it's efficient, delivers a good amount of water, but gentle enough for very newly planted seeds. And actually I found that setting could be a little bit gentler still, so I'm just taking a little break here to readjust the flow and then start up again, and this is better. So I'm just watering in the other side a little bit again, even though it got done before. Just make sure everything is good and wet until we consider it done. And that's basically it. Now they're ready to go in and go on their heat mat and wait for germination. And this is just a photo of the heat mat that I'll be using, and as you can see, it has a thermostat attached to it, and I'll have that set to about 70 degrees, which is what onions like for germination. And here they are placed on top of the heat mat, ready to go. Now it's just a matter of keeping them nice and moist and waiting for germination. You will not need these racks on top of them unless, like me, you have cats in the house that will wreak havoc upon these seed flats if I do not protect them. But here we are, good to go.